When we think of Islamic art, it is often about impressive architecture or the elaborate decorative arrangements on such beautiful buildings, or perhaps about miniature paintings or intricate forms of calligraphy. Whatever it is, Islamic art is seen as something of the past that belongs in museums. A major purpose of this project is to engage with active artists today to explore what Islamic art means in the contemporary world. I'm really fascinated by the degree to which people vary in the way they engage with art, and particularly with audiences and their understandings of the place of art in their own societies. So this project is an attempt to further that line of questioning. And one very important goal for me in this project is actually to see and to understand how art gives meaning to people's lives at a societal level, at an individual level, at a creative level. From the very beginning, we set out to look for artists who worked in different mediums. The three artists that we focused on the most for this project are a calligrapher named Nihad Dukhan, a painter and multimedia artist named Shazia Sikandar, and a dancer named Amira Sackett. How is art connected to understanding more broadly?
Art is a luxury item. It comes after we take care of our important needs. Art thrives when there is political stability and social stability. You have options. You can repeat the cliches that we're going to change the world through art, and good luck with that. Or you can understand your position and understand the nature of art and what it can do and what it cannot do. And if you look at art historically, art actually followed political changes. It didn't cause political changes.
I have no other choice, but I have to believe that the function of art is that it will open up space. It will open up space for a broader representation. It will open up space for more diverse stories. And at the end of the day, it is the stories that we are telling. Like, all of us want to tell our stories. So we are in pursuit of our respective truths. And in that moment, in that our storytelling moment, I have to believe that it will allow for a more just world or a more just representation.
I think art for us is a litmus test for what's happening in society and culture at the moment. And I think that's the power of art in our time, is to tell us what's happening.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
How do you see your own art practice in terms of its influences and inspirations?
I would describe my art practice as definitely rooted in hip hop, but also rooted in experimenting and creating from different inspirations that include poetry, sculpture, music, and those different kind of inspirations. And definitely it's evolved over the years.
I have to first draw it. So once I'll draw, I am thinking through my ideas through drawing. Like, okay, the drawing can become a sculpture. Why can't it become a sculpture? So that's how I think of drawing, that drawing reduces itself to thinking, and then it is expandable enough to become like a collaboration with any medium.
So different mediums inspire dance for me, because dance is creating a series of images, right? So when I see a sculpture or I see a painting, it invokes a mood or a feeling. or imagery that will inspire me to create like a moving series of images right off of that.
There is the so-called natural habitat of a given art. The natural habitat of Arabic calligraphy is the paper. When you hold an original, the fact that you're holding the piece, it is actually holding an art object.
Can you speak a bit about the ways in which you understand yourself within your artistic tradition and practice?
My relationship with the written text is very important. As a matter of fact, my love of calligraphy started by love of the Arabic language and literature first.
And this is a time in mid-80s when I kind of went from studying mathematics to art that I gravitated to the manuscript painting traditions, because around me was just a lot of interest in abstract expressionism. So that's how I ended up in kind of thinking about the manuscript painting. But at the same time, it was very frustrating because I didn't want to just sit there and make one painting that would take me a year to make. I think my memories of being this really young artist was like that. It was a very isolating experience because all my time, 14, 18 hours a day, was spent making the art. And eventually I had no other way but to make it a spiritual experience.
I've seen different religious paintings of like humans kind of reaching upwards towards heaven to connect with a higher power. Creates a lot of images in my head or thoughts in my head that will come through the dance, through the movement.
Are you influenced by the way viewers and audiences react to your art? What messages do you hope audiences take away from your work?
If there is some resonance between the visual calligraphy and the meaning contained in the written text, I think that where maximum potency can occur, that's very exciting. If you take an interesting text, a saying, a verse from the Quran, a hadith, a piece of wisdom, poetry, and try to reflect the meaning into a visual form, I think that's what calligraphy should aspire to do.
For me, one of the foremost things is that how can art be wondrous? You have to transport the viewer. You have to create something that will lift the spirit or will touch the spirit.
I wanted my simple, strongly designed graphic to speak for itself.
I always say that dance reaches, and art in general, reaches people's heart, right? It's different. I'm really focused on kind of communicating the beauty of Islam and the universal beauties within our faith and religion as a universal message for all people that can, help them get through life and understand different principles that we share and commonalities.
What do you see as the relationship between art and religion?
I feel that they've always been together. I don't see them as really separate because I feel if we look at all the great religions in the world, there's art that accompanies them.
This religious feeling provides a source of inspiration. It provides themes of artistic production. For some artists, it's some sort of an offering to whatever they believe in.
I think it's a human thing. So it's human to ask yourself, why are we here? What is my purpose? How did all of this happen around me? So man's search for God and search for meaning are connected in art. So I feel even people who say they're not religious but are artists, on some level they're still tapping into these questions, which definitely religion answers for people.
I came here to the United States from Gaza, Palestine in 1983. And so I was moved from this Muslim tradition, Arabic speaking, to the American environment. So my language was not used, was not known. And I had that love for this artistic tradition that is very much connected to the language and the alphabet. My challenge was, how can I reach this audience that has no knowledge or no interest really in Arabic or the Arabic alphabet or Arabic calligraphy?
How can I make art that can exist in multiple categories and and can speak to multiple heritage and can create its own heritage? So these are very elusive notions of how to define, your culture. How does it suddenly belong to Pakistan?
My approach was, I have to reach them through a very powerful graphical impact that's not mediated by language or calligraphy or religion. Then the other thing, I thought I have to have sort of general humanistic themes that are relevant to everyone, regardless of religion and culture and language.
I am interested in the language of the manuscript, and that I have cultivated over 30 years. So I have a very strong understanding and knowledge of that. But is that technically my heritage? I can own it, but it's not just because I'm from Pakistan or I grew up in Pakistan. So much of that material is from Central Asia or Persia or Eastern Europe or China. Like, it belongs to art history, it belongs to history, it belongs to all of us, whoever's curious.
So the understanding of my art is important, in some respects. The point that I like to get across, and that I think comes across just naturally dancing, is the power and beauty of a Muslim woman. I think that is something that just naturally happens, where I don't have to, if I get up and tell you like Islam is beautiful, and as a Muslim woman I feel empowered, and wearing hijab is like, an affirming choice in my life. I can say those things, but watching me like take the stage in a powerful way and communicate through dance is a different kind of understanding for the audience.
How we define heritage is going to be a product of the social political environment of a country, a culture, a society, a group policing art and culture, a city, a class dynamic. All of these things determine, what is their culture, what is their heritage. It's in flux all the time. I am not saying like the art is the solution. I have to revert to humor and be playful, but I do like to shift these narrow definitions around race and empire and language and gender and sexuality and who's authentic, who's not, who's in, who's out. Like, these are things that just come naturally to me because all of it is part of my heritage.
This art form is pretty much unknown for a lot of people, including Muslims and Arabs, which is a sad reality.
If there's someone who maybe hasn't experienced, dance as an art form, they're going to walk away going, wow, dance is more than I thought it was. Dance is more than just me dancing at a wedding. It can communicate these really beautiful emotions and complex subject matters.
I feel I have to talk about it, about its significance, its history, why it's important, why it's beautiful, the rules, and the tradition, and so forth, and the letters and the shapes.
Sometimes it's super annoying. Like I'll have people that, maybe see me as like a rebellious Muslim girl, like because that's their lens, like they're like, look at her, she's like coming out of her community and rebelling. Where actually I love my community. Even the ones that tell me what I'm doing is wrong, I still love them. So I'm actually not trying to like rebel against Islam. Like I feel I am expressing Islam, right? In my personal way and through my time period and my slice of history here.
Like art is not just happening in your studio. Art is happening in terms of like a conversation that is shaping a city, a culture, where we are fighting for space, we are fighting for representation, we are fighting for complexity, and it's like something I embody in who I am in every moment of the day, and that's what my work is going to come forth from.
Art can offer a little bit of provisions for slowing down, becoming more reflective for people who are willing.
So there's no real one thing that can be called Islamic art. At the end of the day, Islamic art really is two things. One is art produced in Islamic societal contexts. And the second is it's art that is produced by people who are practicing their art as an expression of their religiosity.